Oh, hello there, wherever you're listening, however you're listening, joining us live on YouTube on the Reality After Show channel or after the fact on the archive episode. I know this was a late one for a whole lot of people. We had President Triz come in and give a pretty much State of the Union address in the middle of December. So I know some people probably didn't stay up to watch the whole episode. So if you're joining us afterwards, don't worry. We love you all the same. My name's Gabe Ortis, Survivor 47, joined by producer extraordinaire Bobby Goodsby and producer and podcaster extraordinaire Wayne Memmott. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. How are we feeling? It was a long ride. It was a long ride through the finale. How are we feeling right now, Wayne?
Man, it was long. The impromptu State of the Union address made it seem longer, but it felt, I will just say, it felt like it was just kind of going through the steps. It just kind of felt like we were getting to the steps through the whole thing. I will say through the whole episode, I truly didn't know who was going to win. I have different thoughts on how it could have turned out if different decisions were made. I heavy thoughts on what Soph could have done. I think she could have won. But yeah, I truly didn't know who was going to win. So that's a win. Sometimes you can call it out, but I think it's pretty cool when you're like on the edge of your seat watching like everybody else, because you're not sure. You don't know how the people on that island valued the different games that were presented in that final tribal council.
Bobby, about 4 hours of sitting on the couch watching Survivor. How do you feel at the end of it?
Well, I was sitting right here in my computer chair because I have to watch it on East Coast feed, being a West Coaster. So it's the only way I can do it is paying $3.99 just to watch on the East Coast every single episode. But convincing my wife, hey, you have to feed the kid, put the kid down, give her a bath, and I'm going to be doing this for about 5 hours. It's a difficult thing to get across.
Yeah.
The one saving grace was it's a finale. It'll be a break before the next one. So the other thing I want to say is, Gabe, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Very, very happy to be back. It's been quite a while.
I'm so glad you're here.
Made it back in time for the finale.
Yeah, that's the most important part. And also, can we just say, we've been talking about at the very beginning of the season, we said, can we just yada 49 to get to 50? And now we're through 49. And I'm right back to the same start. I wish we would have yada this season. Like, no offense to the cast. There was a couple members that were absolutely fantastic TV. Majority could have gone without. But it did pick up in the second half of the season. However, was it not the writing on the wall that Savannah was going to win the whole time? Like, now it really kind of pisses me off for 50 in the fact that we're like, well, there's only 2 winners on 50. It'd be weird with 3 tribes to not have 3 winners. So probably the person from 49 is going to be the winner that goes on to 50. And sure enough, that's what we got. Like, it was just very predictable from the start and very frustrating from the editors and producers, in my opinion.
Yeah, Wayne, is this a season that you felt like you knew the whole time what was going to happen? Because you said going into the finale, you didn't know who was going to win. But over the course of the season, did you know that it was going to be this group sitting at the end? Or did you feel like there were times where they were under fire?
I do feel like I kind of knew that it was going to be these 4 at the end of I knew Sage was going to be. This is not the game she played. I want to give her the credit, but she was their GOAT. I think, I don't think she played a GOAT game, but that's how she was viewed to that trio was. She's the dead vote, and then it's 2 of us are going to verse each other essentially.
Yeah. And I also don't think that people viewed Sage as a threat, because I think she stopped playing a winning game about halfway through. Mm-hmm. I think she was arguably the strongest player in the beginning of the game. I think she navigated her way from the bottom to the tribe swap very well. I thought she handled the tribe swap really well. And I think she handled the early phase of the merge really well. But then she got in to kind of like the mid-late game, and she just started making really bizarre decisions. And she started making decisions that her clear adversaries in Savannah and Rizzo wanted her to make. Right. And it felt like she had multiple opportunities to maintain the fierce agency that she had all through the early stages of the game, and she chose to give that up. And I mean, I'm sure we just didn't see a lot of that explanation why, but I don't understand why she did that. Like, I don't understand why you took the move to get Steven out, for instance. That's the fresh one in my mind.
That was the one. That's where I think the game changed. I think the game got boring when Steven got out. I really, because it was just kind of like, oh, I honestly did not see a unanimous Steven's the one to go on this vote. I again, this is probably speaking for somebody who I don't really know that I should speak for, or whatever. But I see a little bit of myself in Sage, and it's like, if you're always seeking approval of other people, well, they're kind of the cool kids in a lot of places in your life. And even Sage said it in her, final in the final tribal, where it's like she's always like seeking this approval from other people. And I kind of got a lead that like that kind of clouded her decisions or whatever.
Yeah.
Can I be honest too? Sage at points in her final tribal council speech, when people were questioning her, she really wanted to bring up that like, oh, these moves are what I made, and it was kind of to blindside you guys and all this stuff. But it's like, no, you realize you were helping the people that were clearly at the bottom the whole time, and this was advantageous for them, and it looked better for them by them making those moves and you just tagging along. It's like they get the credit, and you think that you were a part of the caveat that made that thing happen, but you weren't the sole reason that happened. The credit's always going to go to the people that were on the bottom that made the move to proceed in the game. So it's never a good look to be the person who flips and wasn't the one originally on the bottom. That the people on the bottom are always going to get the credit for that move.
No, of course, yeah, and I think that like that became Sage's story in like the critical parts of the game. When you kind of start to separate yourself into who is actually going to have a chance to win this and who's going to get carried to the end. Like Sage started making decisions that it was like, oh, we can carry her to the end because any moves that she's making right now are ones that me as Savannah, me as Rizzo, me as Sophie can claim for ourselves at the end. These are all moves that we can point and say, like, this clearly benefited our game and what we were trying to do, even if Sage perceives herself to be a mover of it. So it kind of becomes like this thing of you're making moves that actually hurt your case at the end because it helped the other people who you're sitting next to more than it helped yourself. And it put them in position to sit next to you when you had clear opportunities to keep these people from sitting next to you. And I mean, I do get, and she said this when Steven got voted out. I think she might have said it again at some point tonight, that I think Steven probably wins if he's sitting at the end. I think he had the best chance of anybody on the jury to win. He was really well liked by everybody. He had a couple challenge wins under his belt. I thought outside of the big three of Sophie, Savannah, and Rizzo, he definitely had the strongest strategic game. He found himself in multiple alliances. Like, I think that I understand why you would look at somebody like Steven and say, I really don't want to sit with them at the end. But I think I'd rather deal with Steven as a individual than the trio of Rizzo, Savannah, and Sophie. And she chose to go with that trio. And the reason I say that is because, like, for instance, when I was on 47, and I was thinking the whole time, like, man, if I get to the end with some amalgamation of Sue, Caroline, and Kyle, like this, all of them being here is a statement on my behalf, which I know is a very conceited way of putting that, but it's like, this was a victory of like second place. The person who's sitting in second is my victory. The person who's sitting in third is my victory. The person who goes out in fire, like those are all people that I put there. And I think that builds up the image of one person. I think Savannah was the benefactor of that logic in season 49, where it's like she was the head of this alliance that made it to the end. Rizzo is sitting there because Rizzo found an idol, obviously, but also because Savannah kept winning challenges that made it so they couldn't target that alliance at all, right? Sophie is sitting there because Savannah took Sophie under her wing when she was by herself on the bottom after her entire tribe got wiped out, and they hit a swap, and Savannah kept putting Sophie in positions to succeed. Like, Savannah is the person who can claim the success of that entire alliance, where Steven would have been sitting there by himself. So I get his threat as an individual, but being the head of an alliance and then sitting at the end of the game with that alliance just builds up your image so much in front of a jury. And I think, among many things, that's one of the factors that led to Savannah winning tonight.
And then also I want to say too, if you guys are new here, if you guys are just now checking out the channel, hit the like button, hit the sub button. Everything helps us with the algorithm. Leave a comment, whatever it may be. Now, to kind of piggyback off that, I was talking to Wayne before the episode, and I know I brought it up before, but I want to go back to, Final 7. And in Final 7, that was their real chance to take a shot at Savannah. Like, that was the time that you had the opportunity. She hadn't won, she'd gone on a little bit of a run on immunity idols, and she was vulnerable at this immunity. Now, Rizzo's idol was still kind of hung over everyone's head, but it was a unanimous vote on Yellow Sophie, right? And I said at the time, and people bashed me in the comments saying, oh, no, it's too early. Why would you make a move there? You have to strike when the iron's hot, and the iron was never hotter for Sophie B when she knew that there was a unanimous vote on the other Sophie, that you can play your knowledge is power, steal Rizzo's idol, save Sophie, and then take out Savannah, who is the biggest threat in the game. So you just... I understand why people thought that it was too early, that would put too big of a target on Sophie, but you still have people like Steven. You have the other Sophie. You have Rizzo, who are all there, that all have targets on their back that isn't going to necessarily be that big. And we kind of saw the repercussions of that, where at Final 6, she does make the move, and it falls flat. So Final 7, I really don't think, if for any future players out there, play when the iron's hot. Don't think I have to save this to the last second. Otherwise, it's not going to, I could go out at some point. You can't play scared. And I think that's what Soph did. I think Soph played a little scared, little like, I'll wait till the last moment to use it and use my advantage how I see fit. And it obviously blew up in her face. I still don't understand for the world of me why she would take an unknown, advantage over a given idol that is in hand. That is the biggest safety net you could ever have. Even if you use it for yourself, it doesn't make sense. So she uses that idol on on Sophie, and Sophie's then indebted to her, being like, you just saved my game. Like, I'm indebted to you. Like, I'm with you all the way. Then you still have these other threats there. Yes, it propels you as one of these big threats in the game, but you have taken out the biggest threat in the game and opened up yourself a chance to possibly win an immunity and go further in the game. Like, yes, you have to take a shot at some point. And I always say this every single season. Don't wait to the last possible second, because that's the last time you can play it. Play it when it's the right moment. I really think that Final 7's where Soph lost the game.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think that a lot of people looked at that vote as, the inverse, the other side of that coin, where the trio of Savannah, Rizzo, and Sophie won the game, right? Where it was like, okay, well, now it's definitely going to be one of those three.
Right.
And I think most people looked at Sophie as like the third horse in that 3-horse race, which I think was fair. And I know some people have compared her to Mitch from last season. I don't think that's super fair.
No,
because I think there were like clear differences in their game.
Yeah.
Where I think like Mitch was, an out and out GOAT. Like, he was clearly being carried to the end.
Right.
He wasn't really involved in a lot of plans other than being told how to vote. Where I think Sophie had a level of charisma and social aptitude that led people like to want to work with her, not just bring her along, but want to involve her in plans and want to divulge their plans to her. So I think that was a big difference between those two. And I think that any chance that Sophie had of winning this game was without Savannah or Rizzo sitting next to her. Like, and that is kind of what you were getting at, Bobby.
Yeah. I Jeff even kind of like said, like, when in his whole like pre-fire, introduction. I don't know if we're gonna like go through or just talk about the whole episode in the season, but he was like, hey, don't you like, sometimes the person sends himself into fire and that's what gets them to win $1 million. So don't you think maybe you should go in and do fire and maybe you can win $1 million? Because I think that's the only way she wins. She goes in and she takes out Savannah at fire is I think the only way with those four there, decisions that having already been met, sending Rizzo and Savannah to strengthen their resume. Neither of those are going to help. You're like, because then you're going to lose. You're like, well, I have to go in. If I lose here, I lose.
Yeah.
If I win, I win.
Yeah.
Well, and one last point real quick to that effect is with the whole Rizzo thing, I don't think we got what the jury was seeing with Rizzo, where it looked like Rizzo wasn't as respected as us, the viewers, thought his game should be. And on top of that, if Soph does make that move at 7, she totally tanks his game because his idol is now gone and used against him and taking out his number one ally. His game plummets if that's the fact. So that's another factor. Is like I do think that then cheapens his possible win equity, and then it totally increases hers. But I don't want to harp in too much on that. So, Gabe, what was your point?
I just think that if you're somebody who is watching this season, it's very clear that like Rizzo is supposed to be, the guy that you think is going to win. And then at the end, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he didn't. But we saw the reaction from the jury. And I think the Steven vote where like he does another idol fake out and everybody kind of rolls their eyes. And something, I didn't watch the full reunion show because I couldn't wait to hop on here with you guys. But something that we saw.
I never watched them.
They're really not that fun.
No, they suck.
And they're even worse now because of how they do it, where they do it right after the vote, where at least when they did it live, live TV is just a bit more fun to watch. B, it was always fun to see everybody like months away from the game and like, oh, now they're healthy and they're all dressed up and like, you have this big audience. Like that at least made it a little bit more fun. And the angle of live TV was like anybody could do anything, shout out to Jerry walking off set in All Stars and plenty of other moments that were really interesting. And so you completely lost that. So now it's just Jeff asking these really generic questions and getting really generic answers back. And like all these reunion shows that any reality TV show does, and I know I'm going on a tangent here, but we should talk about it. Any of these reality TV show reunion shows, all of the juicy stuff happens in the first 10 minutes. Like all of the things that the audience is like, oh, I can't wait for them to revisit. That happens in 10 minutes. And then after you get past that 10 minutes, it's like, so how good was the food at the auction? Like, it's just dumb questions that like nobody cares about because they just got to fill an hour,
Do we know for a fact if 50 is going to be live? Because like we got to vote on that, right? So
I think it is going to be. It
has to be.
I think it's all but confirmed.
Yeah.
But back to the point about Rizzo. During the reunion show, Jeff brought up, he was like, I want to talk about idols. Rizzo, like, tell me how you used your idol. And Rizzo was essentially like, I kept, faking people out and it worked for 9 straight tribals. I was able to, and everybody on the reunion show cast like started booing him, and it was like in jest. But I think that they were looking at Rizzo playing with his idol the way they did. And I think they kind of got bored of the gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was kind of like this, oh, well, he keeps faking it and then he doesn't use it. And it's like, well, you've done it 6 times, so who cares now? I'm going to be honest. I'm a stick up for my guy, RIZGOD, the man, the myth, the legend. I think that's the jury being really, really bitter that they were all too scared to take a shot at Rizzo.
Yeah.
And the fact that he kept getting away with it. And I think their defense mechanism for that was like, oh, here he goes again, the same old trick. But it's like you were all angry because 75% of the people sitting on that jury went home because he kept doing that. I think they were being bitter about it. And I think they wouldn't have voted for him to win because of that bitterness, not because they perceived it to be bad gameplay.
I also think that we, the viewer, got a different Riz God than they probably got on the island.
sure.
I think that he is like a Jonny Fairplay, gets into the confessional and really plays up the character to get as much screen time as possible. And he's playing a different game there. And to his benefit or not, I don't know. But I think that we had this perception of like, man, this guy's gonna win just because he's like, yo, Riz God in the house, or he's just he's so cool, slam dunk.
I
him
think
coming
also,
back.
I think also a factor too is that for a lack of a better word, the show really rizzed him up, right?
Sure.
Like they really wanted you to fall in love with Rizzo. Maybe it's the 50 factor. Maybe they wanted him to have some hype going into 50, knowing that a lot of people are going to know he's going. And the fact that I keep coming back to is they really showed us a lot of his good moments and not necessarily as much as Savannah's moments, who's the eventual winner of the season, which generally on a season we get the winner, which we did get a lot of her perspective, which was good to see because she is the eventual winner, but they didn't give it to us in a completely likable way, where even at the point where we see Soph trying to decide who she's going to take or put into fire, and she's like, I can't believe she would do this to me. I'd at least hear me out and all this stuff. Like, that's not like a good moment for your eventual winner, where Rizzo's like, I'm just here to take on the moment. I'm happy to be here. Anything I can do to, take my game to the next level. It was just weird editing. Like, they really rizzed him up for 50, I feel like.
No, I think that's actually a really interesting observation, because usually it's the inverse, right? When you have somebody who ends up being a really good player, strong player, and loses at the end, whether it's in fire at Final Tribal, usually you get their good moments, but you also get the story of why they lost throughout, and then when you learn that they lost, you go back and you're like, oh well, they messed up here and they got into a fight with that person here, and they lost this challenge here or whatever. But you're right, with Rizzo, we didn't get any of that. With Savannah, we got a lot of that. I mean, we had her feud with MC. We had her feud with Christina. We had her moment with Steven, where she kind of gives some of her backstory, and she's like, I was really ostracized in my workplace, and that was really hard for me. And we kind of get these moments all throughout the season of like these social mistakes that Savannah made, or at least that we're being told that she made. And like that is quintessential. Like, this person is going to be a third or second place finalist, so they're going to lose in fire. And Rizzo was somebody who the whole time was like, all we ever got from Rizzo was him finding idols, him faking people out with his idols, him building this Riz God character. Like, we never see Rizzo get into a feud with somebody. We never see anybody even really talk bad about Rizzo over the course of the season. Like, I mean, he got a 99% positive edit and then goes on to lose in fire. So that's interesting. It was a very atypical edit for a winner that Savannah got. But to be honest, I don't know. I think I kind of enjoyed it because it just gave her this level of complexity that I found to be very interesting.
I mean, there's also a chance that she's just not a likable person. I mean, there is that chance, like she has these feuds. She's ostracized from work, blah, blah, blah. Like, maybe it was hard for them to find a bunch of these, positive moments outside of her just beasting challenges.
And which I think that's fair. And
I don't know, Savannah, you might be very nice. I don't know.
I mean, I've met Savannah before, and she was lovely. So she was awesome, and I personally think she's great. But I think that kind of edit is kind of what I wish we saw more from winners, because I think it makes Savannah's win look even better. Because it's like, despite these people not really liking her, despite her being labeled as a mean girl, despite her being this constant target, people still had to give her the respect at the end. And I thought that was fun.
I would say the one caveat in the new era to like that thought process on like the winner edit and, the person that goes out in fourth place with that amazing edit would be 43 with Jesse going out at fire, and then you got
Yeah.
Gabler, who ends up winning the season, who no one really saw coming, and to a much lesser extent. I'm not saying Savannah was Gabler by any means. I think Savannah played a much superior game to Gabler. No offense to Gabler, we had him on last week. He was great, love the guy, but he would probably even say the same thing. However, Rizzo really got the Jesse edit when it comes to the 43 edit for just playing up this person's game, and a lot of the perspective coming from him, or at least his gameplay being flashy, and that's what they want to show, which really still shocks me he's not on 50. Now
nobody is on Beast Games.
He is on
He is
Beast
on
Games.
Beast Games
And
with
did
my
you guys
girl
see the
Sue Smay.
promo? Yeah, did you see
dude.
the promo with like Sue hugging Jeff on the island and all
Crazy,
that?
insane.
It really, and I kind of hate that they showed that, because it also makes me think, is like, well, is Sue the only survivor left at that point? There was only like 8 people left on the boat when they got there. Now that's just
a
my
side
brain.
quest. That's a side quest.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking like you're gonna win Fiji or something. Now I do want to talk about one thing, because someone brought it up in the chat, and I know we might be jumping the gun a little bit, but I do think it's one of the highlights of the entire episode. Would really like to know your opinion on Christina's jury question when the time comes. I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't with Christina. Like, Christina is one of the most bitter players I feel like we've seen in a long time. And I understand you might not like someone, but game respects game, does it not? And to ask that kind of question when you're already out there starving, this person's got to the end, your brain's mush, you're playing an intense game for 26 days and you're on day 26 and you're doing everything you can to focus in on the gameplay and how you deserve the $1 million. I'm sorry, my brain wouldn't remember who the heck people they from back home are. Like, I just thought that was a cheap question.
I'm gonna say again, this is part of that edit where they like make Savannah, they're not highlighting the positive questions from Savannah. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't fucking know. I will just clearly say there's a good chance that I'm there in Savannah's exact position, and I can't name all of the people sitting in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a chance I might forget somebody's name. Like, I could go down the line and be like, fuck.
I do it on the podcast.
Adam, Alex, it's Alex, or whatever. Like that, that very well could happen. So to ask me to like name a family member, it's like, dog, for real, no chance. That's harder than any challenge that she's won, and she won 4 of them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that it was like a complete sabotage question, right?
Yeah.
It was like, I'm asking this to make you look bad. I doubt Christina could do that as a member of the jury. Yeah, like if going to Ponderosa, having us, sleep in a bed. Now that would have been good. But I will say it was great TV. It was a great TV moment, and like sometimes I think that that's like all that really needs to matter for certain moments. Like, it was great getting to watch Savannah squirm like that and kind of seeing her have this very humiliating moment. Like, and I hate saying that because, like I said, I know Savannah personally. I think she's great, and I'm sure that was really hard for her to watch back. But like, it was a good reality TV moment, and that's part of why people tune into these shows. So I am happy that happened. But I think that in terms of like the gameplay aspect, the jury vote aspect, I would have been very unmoved by that question as a jury member. If I was sitting on the 49 jury and I saw that happen, I would be like, all right, next question.
All right, cool. Yeah.
But it was a great TV moment.
I'll actually say, like, stick up for Savannah. I think she handled it like ballsy, like with some cojones or whatever. Like, you could kind of shirk away and be like, oh, I'm so tired, blah, blah. You could find a million excuses, but she just like went straight on and was like, yeah, I know you got a partner, and I know you got a kid that you played it for, and I remembered it 2 weeks ago. Like she just like met it head on and went down and like named who she can name. I give her a lot of credit for that, because she's like, I don't know, but I'll do what I can. She kind of spun it well.
I think the best thing she did in that moment was right at the beginning be like, no, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
And she's like, we'll do it anyway.
She kind of set the foundation of like, look, this isn't going to be pretty, And so, no, I thought she handled it very well. And, on Christina, if we can kind of Well, let's talk a little bit more about Savannah first as a winner before, because I do want to do just like some kind of season-wide recap. But looking at Savannah as a winner, where do you guys put her in the pantheon of new era winners? I mean, we've had 9 seasons now, so would you put her in the top 4 or the bottom 5?
Wayne, go ahead. You go first.
Boy,
I don't even need like a list from you, just on your gut.
I don't. I can't even give you one.
Exactly.
I'm so bad at this stuff because I live
like
so in the present.
Your gut feeling, like when you think of Savannah, is it just like, oh, she would be in my top half of new era winners?
Well, here's the thing. She's on 50. She won 4 immunity challenges. She did the thing where she rode an alliance to the end. She did overcome. She made fire, like, yeah, I'd say she played a game where she's got to be in the top half. Like, I feel like she has to be. I don't know who I would put above her.
Bobby?
I would say it's 1A, 1B with her and D. I think D played an equally like on par game. Wasn't ever on the bottom. So I would probably put maybe even D a little ahead of her. So maybe, okay, I would probably put her at 2. I think she played the second best game of the new era. I think that she played a phenomenal game. The fact that she, tied the record for amount of immunity wins, for women playing the game. Also, I think she's the second person to go on that immunity win, tied with Kim Spradlin, who eventually won their season. So like,
you're forgetting a big one.
Who am I forgetting? Oh, from your season.
Rachel Lamont, baby.
Rachel Lamont. Sorry, I apologize. So yes, Rachel as well. So 3 people, but I think Rachel's up there too. I would probably put Rachel right there as well.
Yeah. So I think that Savannah is like a good winner, right? I'm very happy that she won. I think she was very deserving. I think she was probably the most dominant player this season. I think the only other person that has a shout for that is Rizzo. And I just think that what really separates her from Rizzo is the challenge wins. I know that it's not popular nowadays amongst fans. I put a lot of stock in the challenge wins, and I was like that before I went out and played, and going out and playing only strengthened that because I know how difficult those challenges can be, and I know how important they are. Like, they change the entire outlook of that night's vote, depending on who goes and wins immunity. And it's not even just for the person that wins, it's for the people around them as well. Like, it changes those people's availability as a target. Sometimes it raises it, sometimes it lessens it. And so, like, I put a lot of stock into challenge wins. I think if you can go on an immunity run, like, that adds to your dominance as a player on that season. And so, yeah, I was really into Savannah as a winner. I thought that, obviously she had a great physical game. I think that she was great at keeping the people who were close to her. And that is something that people don't really talk about a whole lot in Survivor, because I think it's difficult to show on TV, but it's very tough to bring people in to like your orbit and to keep them there, because every single day things change so radically. People get new pieces of information. People get lied to. People win or lose challenges. People get rewards. People find idols and advantages. And all of a sudden, the person who was your ride or die from day one is going off, and they're planning to vote you out, and you're none the wiser. It happens all the time in Survivor. So being able to have people be close to you and to do upkeep and maintain those relationships is a skill within itself. And Savannah was really, really good at that. Rizzo was going nowhere. Sophie was going nowhere. And somehow, as they got deeper in the game, Sage became a working piece for them in their alliance. And like, I don't think we ever really saw what led to that happening in terms of the interpersonal dynamics. But like, Sage was somebody who was voting with them, all the time towards the end of the game, and they were at each other's throats from the very beginning. So I think Savannah deserves a ton of credit for that. I think Rizzo also deserves a lot of credit for that. I know that Rizzo was doing a lot of groundwork to flip people like Jawan to their side, to flip people like Sage to their side. But because he lost in Fire, he doesn't get to be the benefactor of that hard work, and Savannah does. So she gets the credit for it as the winner, at least. So, I'm really into Savannah as a winner. I thought she was a great Survivor character. I loved the I'm a mean girl and I don't care kind of energy that she threw out there, even though I don't really get the vibe in real life that she's a mean girl, but I like that character in Survivor. And it's funny because I think that that's a kind of character that can only really exist today, because like back in the day, it was like it's not cool to be a mean girl anymore. Like in early 2000s, like it was cool to be a mean girl. Like you wanted to be with Parvati, she was the good looking party girl who everybody wanted to be friends with. All the girls wanted to be friends with her. All the guys wanted to get with her. And I think Savannah wasn't quite as flirty or promiscuous as Parvati's character was. No. But nowadays, I think that just culturally, there's kind of this shift where it's like, oh, she's hot and goes to all the parties. She's a mean girl. We don't like her anymore. And so I like that she was able to not only create this character, but lean into it and being like, if you guys think I'm mean, I'm sorry, but I'm still going to beat you. So you have to reconcile that with yourself. And in the end, she ended up winning as that character. And I thought that was really fun. So from a TV perspective, I thought she was a great character. From a gameplay perspective, I thought she was a very strong character. I don't think she could have done everything she did without the help of Sophie and Rizzo. I think her alliance was critical to her success, but she did good work to maintain that alliance. And I think she deserves credit for that.
Absolutely. I think that with Savannah and her win, it was even more impressive because they always had, I would say Rizzo always had the safety of his idol. And at times, yes, she was able to kind of flock onto that, but with the idol as a safety net, but it wasn't necessarily ever her safety. It was always Rizzo's safety that she's associated to. And I think that even gives me more credence to her win equity in the fact that she was always the one that didn't have that advantage. She didn't have something to fall back on. And she was the juicy target in front of Rizzo the entire season from the jury standpoint. So the fact that she was able to continue to win out, continue to work relationships, even though, yes, at times it felt like some of the relationships she did have, i.e., Christina, it wasn't good and it wasn't a mutual relationship. It does feel like she did enough with the other people to at least let them feel like, hey, we got to take out someone else in this moment when she was available for possible elimination. So I think that gives her even more credence in my book as a winner because of the fact that she didn't have that safety net. She saved herself when she absolutely had to. And in the moments that she didn't have the safety, she was able to rise above it and put that target on someone else or continue to save herself.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to look at, at this season as a whole. I think that this was a classic new era season that starts painfully slow with a disaster tribe, gets a tribe swap, builds a little bit of momentum, but there's just, and this is kind of classic Survivor in general, where it just feels like it's exasperated in the new era. I don't know if it's recency bias or if it's real, but I feel like there's just so many boring boots in the beginning of all these new era seasons where it's just like, oh my God, I'm totally unmoved by this person leaving. The entire disaster tribe of Kelly, it was completely unmoved by any of them leaving. Shannon leaving, completely unmoved by her. Who else am I missing in the pre-merge? All the Kelly people, Shannon.
I was gonna say all the Kelly people.
Matt, I was completely unmoved by him leaving, and so it's just this slog that you have to get through until you finally get to the merge and things can heat up a little bit.
Is that necessarily on the players though, or is that more on the editors for just completely leaning in on the disaster tribe and no other screen time anywhere else?
And so that's kind of what my point was going to be, is that, and that's what I feel makes it different from the new era versus more classic Survivor is the way that they edit it. Yeah. And I think that's, you picked up exactly where I was going, that I feel like the editing now has shifted to this hyper focus on a disaster tribe. And I think it's because they want to build up heroes that survive the disaster tribe. In this case, Alex and Sophie, which kind of worked for Sophie. Alex kind of fell off towards the end. But it, like, the beginning of the season was just so new era Survivor, of just like, okay, like all these episodes are blending together, all these people are blending together. Like, can we please just get to the merge so this can pick up a little bit? Once we got to the merge, though, it picked up a lot. Like, I got to give him credit. Rizzo was fun. Savannah was fun. Sophie was fun. Like, you know, MC had some good moments with her feud with Savannah. I thought Steven was a character who really grew into his own.
Great.
I thought Sophie Segretti was a character who really grew into her own. So I think that this season is definitely in the upper echelon of new era seasons. And I will say that I think 48 did so much work for 49 and for my 47. Like, it made you look back. 48 made you look back and appreciate 47 so much. And it made you look at 49 and be like, this is such a big upgrade from 48. So I think that it benefited a lot from the season that came before it as well. But I'm curious what you guys have to say about this season.
Go ahead, Wayne.
I think the same way. Our feelings about this are well talked about, that, you know, the three tribes really just set you up for the slog. The three tribes of six set you up for a slog. It needs a shake up, you know. Like, I understand production costs. I understand, you know, having the, like, we know where we're going, we know what we're doing, but it's starting to feel more like summer camp than Survivor. And so I agree that the gameplay and the casting's great. I have no complaints about the casting. Even though you don't feel anything about those early people, I'd argue if we really went back and watched a bunch of like middle era and old school Survivor, you really don't care that much about a lot of the early boots anyway. You just don't matter. But I hadn't really thought about the editing side of it. I don't know how they do the editing differently.
I think it's the tribes. I think that's the best way to do it. It's just two tribes is more fit for early Survivor season editing.
I also would like to just see less like produced shit thrown in there. Like less hands of production at play. Like, it's supposed to be a social game of skill, not a, oh, you happen to pull the white stone to go on the journey and you happen to go against the two people. Yeah, exactly. It's not Mario Party, it's Survivor. Like, man, boy, I would love it if we showed up and 18 people, one tribe, get after it.
That would be cool.
I think that could be,
just do one tribe, and then maybe split, maybe you have a 2 votes and then you split into 2 tribes or something like that, and then you come back to another merge or something like that. But man, I think there needs to be a little bit of like some format changes for this to really have some longevity after 50. 50 is going to get a lot of eyes, and boy, they rarely better fucking nail it, because
I have my doubts.
They better nail it on episode 1, because if episode 1 is not good and it's a slog and it's just blah 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 and one's a disaster tribe right away, you can tell, you can clock it, man, they are going to get raked through the coals and viewership is going to drop so drastically.
So I think that, in my opinion, this is a low medium tier new era season. I think that 47 is hands above anything else the best season of the new era. I'm not just saying that
like 43. No, 47, 43.
40. I also like 45. But the thing is, I think that this season started off so slow. It was a drag to get through the first half. And then when you got to the second half, there were moments that absolutely shined, and it was good TV, but there was such bad gameplay that it made the good moments not as fun, in my opinion, because the gameplay was so bad. Where I do appreciate sloppy gameplay, but I appreciate sloppy gameplay that I can understand where they're coming from and not be like, well, that was just stupid. You know, like that was just a dumb move. And I felt like we got a lot of that in this postseason. Now, I would also argue 2 of the best people, cast members from any new era came from this season in Rizzo and Savannah, who I think were fantastic TV. Another thing to your point too, Gabe, about the editing style when it came to highlighting the disaster tribe at the beginning. The reason I don't understand it is your eventual winner doesn't come from that disaster tribe. So I understand Sophie gets to the end, but she doesn't win. So why are we highlighting her so much
for so long,
and highlighting that disaster tribe when the eventual winner does not come from that camp? And the only other camp that they gave a little bit of edit time to was the red tribe, and we got nothing from the yellow. So you really just go into it knowing, okay, well, blue's a disaster, red's getting at least something, and it looks like winner edit, and yellow's getting absolutely nothing. So clearly no one's winning from yellow. That's a problem. That's an issue, and that can be easily solved with editing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you've got Yellow Sophie, who every time I see her on screen or hear her talk, I'm like, why do we not? I mean, I know she doesn't win, but why, when she was playing, did we not get more from her? Like, why was there like
great.
What? I mean, we got nothing from. We didn't even know she was in the show until like episode 4, and then she had one line, and we're like, "Whoa, who's this?" And then she kind of has some movement, and she blah blah blah. And then even tonight at Final Tribal, I was like, "Oh man, listen to her. She just commanded it. Like she was great." Like I agree. It is a slog, and I think that there's people that are probably hanging on to Survivor to get to 50. I have a feeling that there are people that are like, hey, they got to 46. They're like, oh, I don't know. And then 47, like they've kind of hit every other, but and Bobby, to your gameplay thing, it's like, if they keep putting in all this other stuff, it just gives people a chance to have bad gameplay. So like Sophie's like whole knowledge is power could steal Rizzo's idol. Arguably, you should just always steal the idol because the idol is the best thing to have in the game. None of those other advantages are better than idols. They only exist because they can't come up with a better idol. You take the idol, always take the idol. But it's just a chance to flop. It didn't go as production wanted. She asked for a different advantage that she knew that this guy had, but what she didn't know is that you're supposed to play the advantage before you go to tribal council, where she has to use her advantage, so his advantage is already gone, so all she could take is the idol. And it's just like it's 3 things that are not interacting in the game well, and it's supposed to make an exciting moment, but it really just made like a flop. It was just a flop moment.
I'll say a big difference between this season and last season is that this season had bad gameplay that did lead to some exciting episodes, where I think last season was bad, boring gameplay.
Yeah.
Where it was like all of these people are all doing very predictable, very non-exciting things to their own detriment. Where this season, I thought there were a lot of players who were working to their own detriment, but doing it in these unpredictable, sloppy, kind of exciting ways of like where 48 was like watching paint dry, right? It was horribly boring. You knew it was going to happen before every episode, and then you get to the end and it's exactly what you thought it was going to be. Where this season was a little bit more like Three Stooges, where it was like, okay, these are people like, like running amok, but they're doing it in this kind of entertaining way. It's like they're trying to lift up the ladder and then it falls on their head and they pass out and their head goes in a paint bucket. And it's like, okay, this was clearly he failed at what he was trying to do, which was climb the ladder and paint. But his manner of failing was exciting to watch.
It was Christina in that immunity challenge. Getting rocked.
Oh, God. I thought she tore ACL.
Rocked. I thought she did, too. Dude. I thought she was really hurt there.
Yeah, same. Her body just crunched.
Can I also say, too, that 47 was such a high and 48 was such a low. Those complete contrasts of seasons then led to 49, and now we knew in the eventual future we're going to get 50, which everyone's like, at least that's old school people we get to see again. Like, we're excited. We haven't had a returning season since 40. Holy crap, we're getting that. 49, then kind of all they had to do was just be okay, right? Because 48 was so bad, 47 was so good, and we have this exciting thing in 50 that we're all excited to see, that even though if it turns out bad, at least we get to see these old faces. 49 just had to be okay, and at times they were. Don't get me wrong, but the sloppy gameplay just proved that the new era is just far inferior too old school Survivor that everyone's like, okay, let's just get to 50. And one other thing I just want to say on top of that, with Savannah winning 49 and we know she goes on 50, she's in the worst spot on 50, in my opinion, than any other cast member. Because one, everyone's going to know she was the winner. Like the word's going to get out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then on top of that, no one knows her. She has no pre-existing relationships. You're the winner
She's
of the
not-
most recent
yeah.
season, and you have no pre-existing relationships. I wouldn't be surprised if she's first one out. And more
Yeah.
credit to her. If you get the opportunity to go back on Survivor, take it. Absolutely. You could win $2 million back-to-back seasons. Why not? I think that it's the worst possible predicament for her, but I think it elevates Rizzo so much more.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that if Survivor is going to like continue to really kind of do this, that every other season in the new era has been mid or bad, right? It 43, 45, 47, 49, all kind of like those higher ranking seasons. Fill those middle seasons with returnee seasons, man. Or if 49 had been like a returnee or a second chances, and the winner of second chances, you know what? You get a third chance and you get your ticket right into 50, but it's all returnees. Man, that would have built up so much more of 50 instead of just like our 8th consecutive season or can't do math, 9th consecutive season of just new folks that we don't know. We're all NFL players. We love rookie wide receivers. We all know that it's only when they become sophomore wide receivers that they actually become good, because they actually know the routes and they know the game, they know the plays, they can expand their route tree, they catch up. And so Survivor's missing that, where we're not getting these next layers of gameplay, because everybody we watch season after season is playing for the very first time. And Gabe, I know you can speak to this. You would play very differently having already played Survivor one time.
For sure. Oh yeah, because you learn from your mistakes. I mean, you just have
learn
more data to work with.
And it's not like the mistakes of Survivor. It's like your personal Gabe Ortiz's mistakes, your personal mistakes, that your shortcomings that led to your demise in the game. Because you know that you've looked at it, you can pinpoint like, oh, I treated this person this way or did this. I should have done this. And so you're like aware of those types of things the next time you play. And so you might not catch them all, but you're aware of like trying to catch those shortcomings. And we just don't get that level in Survivor. So that's what we're all hoping for in 50. That is what we're hoping for.
I think it's interesting too, the idea of like, this is the end of the 40s. Like this was an, like if you kind of think about Survivor in these chunks of 10, like now the 40s are done and they're going to have their own identity, and it's going to be winners at war. And then this whole new era thing. So like, I mean, I'll ask you, Bobby, what is your impression of the 40s? Like, is it just the new era? Does it have its own identity beyond that? Like, what do you take away from the last 10 seasons of Survivor?
I'll be honest. I feel bad for you new era players, right? Because you get the complete disadvantage of COVID happening before you were ever to play. And COVID changed everything. It was a year off. Everything about the game pretty much changed. 3 tribes were completely now just that's the meta. You had 26 days. You're not going to be 39. Like there's all these factors that were out of your guys' control. And so you're completely lumped into its own category, similar to, Australian Survivor and the most recent season of Australian Survivor, where it's just it's completely lumped in a different category. In my opinion, some others have that same opinion. I think that I feel bad for you in the fact that you can't control when you were cast on TV or when you had your opportunity to go on Survivor. Millions of people would kill to have the opportunity that you had to go on Survivor, myself included. I would do anything to go play this game because I think it's an amazing game and I would absolutely love it. As much as I critique it, I absolutely love the game and I would love the opportunity to do it. Now, having said that, there's a point where you have to rise above that. And I'm not saying it's you guys necessarily all to be blamed. I think it's also a lot to do with editing and production, what have you. I think that Survivor has lost touch with what the community wants. Even though they say that they want to do what the fans want to do. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You guys said you love this. It's like Big Brother. Big Brother says, oh, well, this was a fan favorite thing, and it wasn't. And this isn't not a new thing for them, but because of the fact that it's considered new era, all these game changes have happened, and it's post-COVID where it feels like there is an absolute block because we had a year of no Survivor, and the last thing we had was an all-winner season that everyone's clamored for a very long time. It feels like its own version of something like Winners at War was the climax to what Survivor has always wanted to be. And that's why I feel bad in the situation you guys are put in, because it's a lose-lose situation. No matter what you do, no matter how well you play, no matter how great the season is, it's a lose-lose situation. And I think that, in my opinion, I don't think 50 is the most important season that they'll have. I think 51 is the most important season they'll have. And I think that there's a lot of pressure on those players that hopefully casting gets right, hopefully editing gets right, whatever it may be. I think 50 is going to be fun. It's going to be a celebration. It's going to be entertaining no matter what, because we're seeing those players that we love from the past that we haven't seen since pre-COVID. But 51 is really going to have to set the bar to keep the show maintained.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think that's astute. I totally agree.
And I'll just tag on to that I don't think that all new era players are what we would say, quote unquote, new era players. I think there's a lot of old school style players, Gabe, present company, Jesse, D. I think there's a lot of people that would have just done very well in the old school. They were but I think there is this new era style kumbaya. We're going to tell everybody about our advantages. It's a team effort. We're going to goof around. It's like, it's not a game for $1 million or whatever. Like, there's some of those that, and there's just more of that style player, I think, in the new era. And I think the fact that there just was no returning season, there was no returning players, there was no link to this new era, to the past of Survivor. It's just this own, all through the other 30 seasons, you got old people coming in every couple of seasons. They find a way, even if it's as manufactured as Boston, Rob, and Sandra coming in and being advisors or whatever, we still are linking back to the past. And this is just the 40s.
Gabe, can I just say one more thing before you put in your word there too?
Yeah, please.
In the past, we didn't have, and I know everyone says it, the sob stories, but not just that. We didn't glob onto the fact that, hey, this is your occupation, or this is what you got cast for. Like Steven all season about being a rocket scientist. We got that thrown in our face all season, and it's happened multiple times through the new era. Past Survivor, we didn't have that. We had, hey, this is who you are, and that's it. And now just be yourself and who you're going to be as a character on TV right now in this season. We don't need you to have this story. That's what I have a problem with. It has to be a story now, when it's not, the story's not just the season as a whole or the player.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that they have really put an emphasis on where people are coming from into the game. And I feel like that was something, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but I feel like that was something that died off really early in classic seasons, where it was like,
yes,
hey, I'm a lawyer. But then after episode 3 or 4, if you were still around, you weren't a lawyer anymore. You were the player that you were, And now in a lot of new era seasons, I'm hearing about somebody working in DC as a politician or whatever, or working as a scientist, or being a mom, well into the merge. And it's I don't even associate that with you anymore. No. I associate you with all the moves and alliances and challenge wins and idols you found or whatever it may be. I associate you with what you've done in the game so far. And for some reason, the editors have a hard time of letting go of people's stories coming into the game or their lives coming into the game. And I don't get that, because I never find that. I don't think most people find that interesting. It's okay, this person works on, Alex works on Capitol Hill. That's cool. And I do want to hear that in episode 1 and 2. But by the time I get to episode 7, I don't need him being when I'm in DC and I'm, trying to work people in the Senate, then I got to do this. And so that's why I'm doing it. It's dude, you have so many things that define you as a Survivor player in the show of Survivor that they can build your character around. I don't need to hear about you being on Capitol Hill anymore. So, but and that's not his fault. And let me be very clear. That's not his fault. That's the production's fault, and that's the editor's fault.
Do you feel like when you were out there, they continue to ask you a lot about like what you did or like what your story is as for why you're there?
No, like once we got to the merge, that was over. That was totally over. But I think for me, it's because like I didn't need a lot of guidance when I was doing my confessionals. Like they were like, Gabe will give us good stuff, just let him go. And so I always wanted to lean away from that because I found it to be so uninteresting in terms of like what I was doing out there. Like for me to take 5 minutes in a confessional to be like, well, when I'm hosting a talk show, this is what I do. And it's like, that I just found to be so uninteresting and boring for me to talk about. Like I wanted to talk about the conversation I just had with Saul at the water well, or I wanted to talk about my plan to get Genevieve out of the game, which failed. But like, you know, you get the point. So I think that part of that is, you know, the editors, but I also think that the producers who are out there with these players are choosing to ask them about that, you know? And that's a very conscious decision that they're making, that they're giving the editors to work with. I think that we should watch the 50 trailer while we're here. I mean, it came out tonight, you know, and then we can kind of talk about that for a couple minutes. I can pull it up here.
While you pull it up, I'll just say the other side of it that we haven't mentioned is the real world advertising, social media of it all, needing clips from your show to promote your show. And they focus on these stories because they hit the jackpot with Joe and Eva. That went so viral that people that don't even, people brought it up to me, not even knowing that I watched Survivor. There's like, have you seen this? You know, and it's like, that hit the jackpot for their like social reach. Like, look at the numbers. I guarantee there's somebody that's like, look at the numbers this clip did in some production meeting somewhere. And that's what they're trying to hit, is like, they want to hit those viral moments to push the show. But what they don't understand is that like there's more to social media than just those viral moments, and those people aren't going to come watch your show.
Can you guys see this here?
No. Oh, here, I can bring it forward. Hold on. Now we can.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Let's play this thing.
I'll start with a quote from Magellan. Life is for the bold to seize the opportunity when it comes, not those poor, intrepid souls that stay close to shore. But it is the person that goes out in the storm that reap the high rewards.
Welcome to Survivor 50. We chose you to represent 25 years of the greatest adventure on television. It's a big honor. And the only thing we want in exchange for giving you this spot is everything.
Season 50 is a celebration of the game that created my entire life.
It's been 20 years for me. It's definitely unfinished business.
Look, how many more shots am I going to get? Make no mistake about it. I'm thinking about winning. Help us cancel everything that you can cancel. Your Christmas, your vacation, your doctor's appointment.
The twist in the hands of the fans is going to open up Pandora's box. The fans voted on things that impact this game.
We have to be ready for anything, which is scary. Oh my God!
Now I see Zach Brown on Survivor. It's a Billie Eilish boomerang idol.
Jimmy Fallon may decide my fate in this game.
Welcome to Survivor 50, Mr. Beast.
I brought a briefcase.
Okay, first off, hopefully we don't get demonetized for that. But secondly, I think that I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts, because this is the first time I'm seeing it. We didn't watch the reunion.
Likewise, yeah.
When I saw the Mr. Beast point, sorry, go ahead, Wayne.
You heard all that shit about how I'm tired of production throwing shit into the game.
Oh God.
I just want to watch 18 classic Survivor players or 18 of the best Survivor or whatever Survivor players play fucking Survivor. Like 3 idols, maybe one weird thing. I don't want Jimmy Fallon in Survivor. I don't want Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is, I get it, whatever, but boy,
I'll say this. I thought the beginning of that trailer was actually awesome.
Yeah,
I thought Coach opening it up with the Magellan quote was awesome. I thought the shot of all of them on the tarmac
Colby
was awesome. I thought
Colby the first
shot at
face
the
that you
end
see
was
sick.
awesome. I thought the edit of all the pictures of all like the photos of them I thought was awesome. And then as soon as Zach Brown shows up, they completely lost me. And then I was like, okay, and then Billie Eilish, and then Jimmy Fallon, and then like your kicker is Welcome to Survivor 50, Mr. Beast. I just feel like they are finally selling out. That's what this feels like to me.
Do you see the first thing we saw was a Mr. Beast coin? As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I literally put my hands up. I was like, oh no, here we go. And
I mean,
like what you had honestly, they had exactly what Australian Survivor does very well, where they have an amazing intro sequence where you saw the plane with the Survivor 50, you had Coach talking, you got to see Colby's face, all of that. That's exactly Australian Survivor-esque.
It was to a T.
And then just killed it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand what the thinking is with that. And also to put it in the trailer, I think is super weak. Because then it's like you're already bailing on all of these people that you've brought back for this season that's supposed to be a celebration of Survivor. In the trailer, you're already bailing on them. In the trailer, you're trying to make the pool for people to watch the season be Jimmy Fallon, Billie Eilish, Zach Brown, and Mr. Beast. And it's like, what? Why can't you even save that for the show?
Here's the thing. Okay, so the trailer should just be the airplane, Colby, all the symbols, Survivor 50, boom, done. That's all we need. That's all we need, or whatever. They're trying to get again, this is advertising. They're trying to say, hey, Mr. Beast has this show. Let's try and capture some of his fans. His fans are not going to come watch Survivor. His fans are 15 years old. They are watching Mr. Beast. They don't have a Paramount Plus account. Yeah. They don't have a way to watch Survivor.
They watch all
Billie Eilish's Billie Eilish's fans. Billie Eilish is not even gonna be on Survivor. Zach Brown's fans, like, they might be like watch on Instagram that Zach Brown was on Survivor and be like, I didn't know Survivor was still on. And then that's it. They're not going to be like, let me watch a whole season of the show of all these characters that I've never watched before and have all this inside shit because I get to watch like 30 minutes of Zach Brown. No, I'll catch it on Instagram. So it's not going to do what they want. And it's just going to make all of us, us 3 dudes here, just like be like, what the fuck are you doing to my show? Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's not what we want. That's absolutely not what we want. And we know the fans aren't going to say shit. They're going to vote. The fans are going to vote. And it's just going to be whatever production wants to happen whenever it happens. You mean to tell we voted on a live finale? You mean to tell me 50 was never going to not be a live finale?
Yeah.
It's going to be a live finale.
Yeah. The biggest problem I have is you highlighted maybe 4 characters in the entire promo. And there's over 20 people out there that people are clamoring to see. And instead, you fill that time with Zach Brown, Billie Eilish, Boomerang Idol, Jimmy Fallon, and Mr. Beast. You have literally gold at your fingertips. People want to see the promo of these players. They want to see these players they haven't seen in such a long time that they're clamoring to have back. And you give us half of the promo being these things that no one gives a shit about nor want in the game.
Yeah,
like
it's shocking to me. Yeah, no, I agree, and that's why I want this season to be great. I want season 50 to be one of the greatest seasons of television history
ever.
It's really difficult for me to believe that's what's going to happen. It really is.
After that, I'm like out.
Yeah.
What made them think that was going to be a good pro? And this probably shoots my shot at ever getting cast because I'm talking shit. But I'm talking shit because I come from a place of passion where you have gold. Literally, you have gold sitting in your lap. And as much as we disagreed with the casting being half new era, half old school, which I still think is absolutely abysmal, I think, sure, do a quarter new era, but do the rest old school. Like, this is a celebration of 50 seasons, not celebration of half old school, half new school. That's not what we were sold the bill of goods on. Then we can get past that. We've had many months to get past that. The biggest gripe I have now is you have the gold in front of you. Show the people want to see, and we don't get that. We get, let's sell you on, this is why these new people should watch. You're not trying to sell those people. You're trying to keep around the people that have been loyal forever.
No, I couldn't agree more with you.
Well, and they have those numbers of the viewership dropping off. This is their chance to go and grab all those people that used to watch. Those people like, I remember Colby. I haven't watched Survivor in 15 years or whatever. I'm going to go watch Colby Donaldson play Survivor again. Hey, I watched Sari on Big Brother. She always talked about Survivor. I'm going to go watch Sari on Survivor for the first time in X amount of years. Mr. Beast ain't getting anybody to watch Survivor.
Yeah. I agree.
They might, whoever's advertising might see some numbers on the Instagram post that they collab with him or whatever, and they're going to see that as a success, and everyone's going to justify their job that way, but it's not going to be what we want. And man,
well, I think the point you made, Wayne, that was the best was just the fact that people who are in those demographics, they'll watch the clip on Instagram, they'll go watch the full 30-minute clip on YouTube, and that'll be the extent that they engage with the show. And like that will be the end of cashing in on that sellout, which is just, it feels very like dinosaur thinking to me. It feels like a dinosaur way of approaching TV and media and social media. And like, hey, God bless the guy. He put me on the show, and it, changed my life in a lot of ways for the significant better. But like, Jeff is a dinosaur, he's an old dude, and I think he has an old way of looking at media and TV and celebrities. And I think we're seeing all of that come to a head in season 50. At least that's what that got suggested to me in the trailer. Is
Jeff,
there anything else?
Well, I just want to say to Jeff, Jeff, we say this because we care. Like, if we didn't care, we wouldn't podcast about this every week. We wouldn't take away time from our families and our friends to talk about this show. We say this because we care about the show. We want it to be on for 100 more years. We don't want it to go away. And we're telling you right now that as fans of the show and as people that care, we are telling you this is not the way. And so I feel like production looks at it as like, well, we know best and you guys don't know what you're talking about. I get that there is a network behind it, so they're doing what the network is also telling them that they need to do. And I don't care about cross promotion. I care about the fact that the cross promotion is now influencing the game, and it's also in the trailer that takes up 50% of the trailer, opposed to what you're actually sold us when you said this is in the hands of the fans. That's
and it's wild to go from literally 49 seasons of like a car sponsored a prize, or like Applebee's, they sponsored rewards or whatever, but there's not like a big cross promotion. And now it's just like, we're dumping it all in. And it's like, where the fuck did this come from? And maybe we're just old men screaming at clouds, but I really don't think that that's the case.
I can't wait to see what effect this approach has on the show. Like, if I'm wrong, I will happily be like, hey, I am wrong. I'm happy to admit that. And that's the thing I'm the most excited for, is to really actually see this play out and see how people react to it. Maybe they know better than we do. And if that's the case, like, that makes me happy and that's good for the show. But like, I have a difficult time seeing that happen. It is 12:30 on the East Coast. Do you guys mind if we wrap it up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I have to wake up in 6 hours.
One thing before we get out here, guys, we're going to have a long run without Survivor. So I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year. But if you were to have a drink for your drink of choice before, New Year's Eve or Christmas Day, what would it be?
I can think of one.
Water.
Watertown Whiskey, guess what? Philadelphia Eagles back-to-back. Here we go, Super Bowl champions. You see, Daniels, it is the Commander's year. Woo! Super Bowl bound Watertown whiskey. It's back to back. The Chiefs are going back and they're winning this time. Watertown whiskey. Y'all boys heading on down to 8 Mile. Lions got this. Watertown whiskey. It's the AFC's year, but it's the Chargers. There's only one thing I gotta say. Watertown whiskey. Jets. Jets. Shut on. Hartford Whalers. We're going to the Super Bowl. They're close to Watertown, right? There's one thing we can all agree on. Watertown whiskey. Escape the ordinary. WatertownWhiskey.com. Drink responsibly.
All right, WatertownWhiskey.com. Drink responsibly, guys. Go check them out. They are a huge sponsor of our show. Also, as we get out of here, I'm going to let you guys have the floor to say anything you guys have coming up. But one more thing I want to say is check out our Traders coverage. Traders is around the corner. Really looking forward to that. We have Rob Cesternino back on television for the first time in many years. Look forward to see him on Traders, my old boss. We will be talking about it each week after the episode right here at Reality After Show. If it's your first time here, hit the like button, hit the sub button. Leave a comment in the chat, because even just not this chat, the after chat, because all that helps us on the algorithm. And we appreciate you guys for just staying with us throughout the whole Survivor 49 season. You guys are amazing. You guys have been loyal, and we are very much so appreciative of you. Gabe, anything you want to get out with?
Yeah, this has been so much fun over the course of the season. It is my first time being full-time here at the Reality After Show. I know that you may question that with my absence over the last month or so, but no, this has been great, man. It's been great doing it every single week. I can't wait to be doing it for season 50. In the off-season, Gabe's Big Move will be coming back, the #1 off-season Survivor show, so be sure to check that out on Tuesdays around 7:30. Very excited to get back in the groove of Gabe's Big Move. And go ahead and follow me on my socials at Gabe Ortis, like you see right there.
Yeah.
Wayne?
Oh, first of all, listen to Gabe's Big Move. I love Gabe's Big Move. It's a good podcast, enjoyable. Yeah, follow me at Wayne Memmott on Instagram. I'm a stand-up comedian, so I do comedy all over. If you're in Cincinnati, come see me in Cincinnati. I have 2 young kids, so I'm mostly here, but I'll be getting on the road. If you want to think if I'm coming to your town, if you're in the Midwest, I'll probably be coming there in 2026. So follow me on social media. And if you like drinking and eating burritos, come visit the Comet in Northside. That's where I spend all of my time. And you can come see me there and just hang out. We'll talk Survivor and, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And last thing before we get out of here, I have been taking a hiatus from my live streams that I do on Mondays and Tuesdays. Just had a lot going on in my personal life. I will plan to pick that up by the beginning of the next year. And also for Traders, I look forward to doing some Couch Critic episodes as well. So very much so look forward to that. The New Year's upon us. We're going to have a nice little break. Enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy your New Year's. We look forward to seeing you guys, and hit that sub button. And we'll. Oh yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
I have one more thing. If you guys are longtime listeners of the Reality After Show, bug Dan Moncho and Alex Trias to do a challenge recap podcast of this last season of the challenge. Because I tried to tell them that they should, and they're like, I don't know, just shoot them a social media and be like, hey, we want a challenge recap. Just one long episode of what you thought of this season, because I want to hear what they have to say.
Absolutely. They do great stuff. Hopefully we'll have them back. Johnny will be back. Check out the Patreon, Reality After Show, patreon.com. Go and for $5, amazing content we do there. With that being said, we are out of here. We'll see you next Survivor season and Trader season. And look forward to see you guys in the future. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Bye, guys.